Captain Jack Miller of the Earth trade vessel Persistence stared at the massive space station through the main viewport. The structure sparkled like a diamond against the backdrop of stars, its elegant curves and perfect symmetry unlike anything humans had built. "Quite the welcome party," said his first officer, Bill, pointing to the dozen small ships that had formed a perfect escort formation around the Persistence. Jack nodded. "They do everything by the book, don't they?" After decades of sending signals into space, humanity had finally received a response 3 years ago. The message came from something calling itself the Galactic Council, a union of 17 spacefaring species that governed trade and diplomacy across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. And now, humanity was getting its first invitation to the table. "Docking procedure initiated," announced Lisa from the pilot's chair. "Their system is taking control of our ship." Jack frowned. He didn't like giving up control, but the council had been clear about protocols. "Let them guide us in." The ship glided smoothly into an empty berth that seemed custom-built for the Persistence. As the docking clamps engaged, Jack marveled at the precision, not even a millimeter off. "Captain, you better see this," said Tom, their engineer, who was monitoring the ship's systems. "They're measuring our fuel consumption down to the drop. I think they're judging us." Jack joined him at the console. Sure enough, streams of data were being exchanged, with their ship's efficiency ratings flashing in red. "Seems we've already failed our first test," Jack muttered. The welcoming committee waited at the airlock. 3 aliens, each representing a different species but all wearing identical silver uniforms with colored rank bands. The tallest one stepped forward. "I am Admiral Trell of the Varian Collective," it said in perfect English. "Welcome to Harmony Station, Captain Miller." The alien had blue-tinted skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its slender frame gave it an elegant appearance, though Jack noted the powerful muscles beneath the uniform. "Thank you for having us, Admiral," Jack replied, extending his hand before remembering the briefing about alien customs. He quickly withdrew it. Admiral Trell's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "Your journey was inefficient. You consumed 22.7%, more fuel than our standard calculations predicted necessary." Jack blinked in surprise. He hadn't expected criticism within the first minute of meeting. "Our trip was within Earth standard parameters," he said carefully. "Earth standards are imprecise," said the second alien, smaller with green scales and a crest of feathers. "I am Coordinator Pax. I oversee resource allocation. Your species has much to learn about proper logistical management." The third alien, a stocky figure with gray skin that resembled polished stone, stepped forward. "I am Observer Lin. The Council is nonetheless impressed by your technological advancement. Your FTL drive design is unique." "Thank you," said Tom, unable to contain his pride. "We developed it using redundant systems and excessive safety margins," interrupted Pax. "We detected no fewer than 7 backup systems, most of which serve no practical purpose under normal operation." Jack felt his crew tense behind him. Humans were proud of their engineering, especially their approach to space travel. After the early disasters of the space age, redundancy had become a cornerstone of human space design. "Those redundancies have saved lives," Jack said firmly. Admiral Trell tilted its head. "Perhaps such measures were necessary given your limited experience. Come, we have prepared a demonstration that may help you understand." The humans followed their hosts through pristine corridors where other alien species worked with synchronized precision. Jack noticed there were no idle personnel, no wasted movement. Every being seemed to be exactly where they needed to be. They entered a vast chamber dominated by a holographic display of the galaxy. Countless colored lines traced paths between stars, forming a complex web of trade routes. "This is the Council's logistical network," Admiral Trell explained. "For 8,000 years we have refined it to perfection. Every shipment, every resource, every transaction calculated to 6 decimal points of efficiency." The display zoomed in to show individual ships moving along trade routes. Jack noticed how they traveled in perfect convoys, with identical spacing between vessels. Zero waste, said Pax proudly. Each ship carries exactly what is needed. No more, no less. Arrival times are guaranteed within a variance of only 0.03%. What happens if a ship breaks down? Asked Lisa. The three aliens exchanged glances. Ships do not break down in our system, said Observer Lin. Maintenance is scheduled with perfect precision. Parts are replaced before they can fail. Jack couldn't help himself. And when something unexpected happens, space is full of surprises. That is why we have the Council, Admiral Trell replied smoothly. To eliminate surprises through proper planning. Your species has been invited to join our trading network, Captain, but you must adapt to our standards. The Admiral gestured to a newly appearing line on the display. It glowed red, cutting through a particularly dense region of space. This will be your assignment. Route 773B, connecting the Rigel system to New Andromeda. It is challenging but suitable for newcomers. Jack studied the route. It passed through an asteroid field and what appeared to be a radiation belt. He could already tell it was deliberately chosen to be difficult. We accept, he said without hesitation. Admiral Trell's four eyes blinked in sequence. You will be provided with exact parameters for fuel consumption, crew rotation, and cargo specifications. Deviation from these parameters is discouraged, as they left the chamber, Bill whispered to Jack. They're setting us up to fail. Jack smiled. Then we'll just have to succeed in our own way. Later, in the privacy of their ship, the crew gathered around the small mess table. So what's the plan, Captain? Asked Tom. Do we play by their rules? Jack looked at each of his crew members. They were the best Earth had to offer, chosen not just for their skills but for their adaptability and ingenuity, traits that the Galactic Council clearly didn't value. We'll do it the human way, he said with a grin. We'll pack extra supplies, install more backups, and break every efficiency rule in their book. And then we'll deliver our cargo faster than they've ever seen. His crew smiled. If there was one thing humans understood, it was how to push beyond limits, especially those imposed by others. They think logistics is about perfect planning, Jack said, raising his coffee mug. We'll show them it's really about beating the odds when plans fail. They clinked their mugs together, ready to show the galaxy what humans were made of. They call this a shipping lane? Tom whistled as he studied the holographic map. It's more like an obstacle course. The crew of the Persistence gathered around the display table, examining Route 773B in detail. The path twisted through a dense asteroid field, skirted a radiation belt, and navigated past the gravitational pull of three different gas giants. According to Council records, no new ship has ever completed this route on their first attempt, Lisa said, scrolling through the data pad Admiral Trell had provided. Average success rate for experienced crews is only 82%. Captain Jack crossed his arms. And what's their definition of success? Arrival within the specified time window with at least 90% of cargo intact, Bill read. And get this, fuel consumption cannot exceed their calculation by more than 5%. Jack smiled. They really want us to fail. What's our plan, Captain? Tom asked. First, we're going to modify the ship, Jack replied. Tom, I want you to install additional shield generators. Focus on the front and sides. That'll push our power consumption way past their limits, Tom warned. Exactly. Jack's eyes gleamed with determination. Lisa, plot a new course through the asteroid field. Ignore their recommended path. Lisa raised an eyebrow. You want me to go straight through the densest part? That's right. If we boost our shields and take the direct route, we can cut travel time by almost 30%. But what about the radiation belt? Bill asked. Their route specifically avoids it. Jack walked to the viewport, looking out at the glittering Harmony station. I've been thinking about that. The radiation readings aren't constant. They spike and fall in a pattern. You think we can time it? Tom asked. Pass through during a low point? Better than that, Jack said. We're going to use it. 3 days later, Admiral Trell and Coordinator Pax watched from Harmony stations. Control center as the Persistence prepared to depart. They have modified their vessel, Pax noted disapprovingly. Added mass exceeds allowance by 17.8%, and their fuel reserves are 35% above recommended levels, added a Varian technician. Admiral, Trell's four eyes narrowed. Humans appear resistant to instruction. Observer Lin predicted this outcome. On the communication screen, Captain Jack's face appeared. Harmony control, Persistence ready for departure. Captain Miller, Admiral Trell responded formally. Our sensors indicate significant deviations from assigned parameters. Your modifications exceed... Sorry, Admiral. Jack interrupted with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. We're experiencing some transmission difficulty. We'll check in when we reach the first checkpoint. The connection terminated, leaving Admiral Trell staring at a blank screen. Most irregular, Pax muttered. Indeed, Trell agreed. Calculate their probability of success with these modifications. The technician worked quickly. Based on their excessive fuel consumption and reduced maneuverability due to added mass, 27.3% chance of meeting Council standards. So low, Pax seemed pleased. Perhaps this will teach them the value of precision. Admiral Trell wasn't so certain. Set up continuous monitoring. I want reports on their progress every 6 hours. The Persistence moved away from the station, its engines flaring brighter than normal for a ship its size. Inside, the crew worked with practiced efficiency, but not the robotic precision of the Council species. Tom moved between engineering stations, making adjustments based on feel as much as readings. Lisa's hands danced across the navigation controls, her course corrections seemingly random but always just ahead of the ship's needs. Asteroid field in 30 minutes, she announced. All hands, prepare for evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Tom, divert additional power to forward shields. Already done, Captain, Tom replied. I've also set up the magnetic collectors. Jack nodded approvingly. This was his most daring modification, and the one the Council would likely find most offensive. The Persistence now sported massive electromagnetic collectors on its hull, technology, usually used for mining operations, not transport vessels. The ship plunged into the asteroid field, but instead of following the winding, safe path outlined by the Council, Lisa guided them straight through. The forward shields flared repeatedly as smaller rocks disintegrated against them. Shields holding at 82%, Bill reported. Lisa, find me the biggest nickel-iron asteroids in scanning range, Jack ordered. Got 3 big ones, 2 o'clock, range 40 kilometers. Jack grinned. Perfect. Take us in close. The Persistence veered toward the massive spinning rocks. As they approached, Tom activated the magnetic collectors. The ship shuddered as the powerful electromagnets locked onto the metal-rich asteroids. Collectors, at full power, Tom called out. We're getting a gravity assist plus electromagnetic boost. The ship shot forward, using the asteroid's own momentum and magnetic properties to slingshot through the field at nearly twice their previous speed. This is crazy, Lisa laughed, her hands flying over the controls. But it's working. Jack watched the fuel efficiency readings with satisfaction. The collectors are also pulling in free-floating metal particles. We're actually gaining mass, but it's saving us fuel. The Council is going to have a fit, Bill said, unable to hide his grin. Wait until they see what we do at the radiation belt, Jack replied. 3 days later, at exactly half the expected travel time, the Persistence approached the infamous radiation belt. According to Council records, ships always went around this hazard, adding days to their journey. Radiation levels rising, Bill reported. We're picking up the patterns you predicted, Captain. 10 minutes until the next low point. Jack nodded. Tom, are the solar sails ready? Deployed and waiting, Captain. Jack had ordered the installation of massive, thin solar sails, another modification that had horrified the Council monitors before they lost contact. The delicate sheets now extended from the ship like giant wings. Lisa, take us in at the next low point. Full speed. The Persistence dove into the radiation belt just as the levels dropped to their minimum. The timing was perfect, but only half the plan. Radiation already climbing again. Bill warned. We've got maybe 2 minutes before it hits dangerous levels. Angle the sails to catch the wave, Tom, Jack ordered calmly. As the radiation levels began to spike, the solar sails caught, the energy like a surfer catching a wave. The ship lurched forward, riding the front of the radiation surge. Power systems overcharging, Tom called out, his voice excited rather than alarmed. Diverting excess to propulsion. The Persistence shot through the radiation belt in less than an hour, using the very danger itself as a boost. When they emerged on the other side, their fuel reserves were barely touched. Status report? Jack asked, unable to keep the pride from his voice. Shields at 64%, all systems functional, Bill replied. Fuel consumption is 47% below our original estimates. And our travel time? Jack asked Lisa. She looked up from her console with a wide smile. At current speed, we'll reach New Andromeda in 3 days. That's less than half the Council's projected time. Jack leaned back in his captain's chair. I'd love to see their faces when we arrive early with a full cargo hold. And extra fuel, Tom added. Don't forget the bonus materials we collected from the asteroid field, Bill chimed in. Jack looked at his crew, tired but triumphant. The Council thinks logistics is about following the safest path with perfect precision. But humans know sometimes you have to make your own path and use the dangers to your advantage. As the Persistence sped toward its destination, back at Harmony Station, the monitoring system suddenly lit up with unexpected data. Admiral Trell stared in disbelief at the readings. Impossible, the Admiral whispered. But the evidence was clear. The humans were not only surviving the impossible route, they were conquering it. The grand meeting hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with shocked whispers. Representatives from 17 species sat in perfect semicircles, their attention fixed on the holographic display, showing the arrival of the Persistence at New Andromeda Station. 3 days early, muttered a reptilian delegate. With 100% cargo integrity, Admiral Trell stood stiffly before the Council, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme agitation among Varians. There must be an error in our tracking systems, Trell insisted. The human vessel could not have completed Route 773B in such time without violating fundamental laws of physics. The head of the Council, Grand Coordinator Vale, leaned forward. Vale's crystalline body caught the light, sending rainbow patterns across the chamber floor. Yet our records confirm they have done exactly that, Admiral. The question is how? The chamber doors slid open and Captain Jack entered with his crew. They looked tired but proud, striding forward with the confidence of those who had accomplished the impossible. Jack noticed how the alien delegates leaned away slightly, as if their success might be contagious. Captain Miller, Grand Coordinator, Vale's voice resonated through the chamber. Your achievement is unprecedented. Jack bowed slightly. Thank you, Grand Coordinator. My crew performed admirably. Indeed. Vale's crystalline form shifted colors, indicating deep thought. However, our monitoring systems detected numerous violations of Council protocols during your journey. Would you care to explain? I'd be happy to, Jack replied, stepping forward. Tom, bring up our flight data. Tom activated a small device, and a new hologram appeared beside the Council's display. It showed the Persistence's actual path through Route 773B, cutting directly through the asteroid field, riding the radiation wave, and using the gas giant's gravity to slingshot toward their destination. This is outrageous, exclaimed Coordinator, Pax rising from his seat. You ignored all safety parameters. With respect, Jack replied calmly. We completed the mission faster, safer, and with less fuel consumption than your projections. Observer Lin, who had been silent until now, moved forward. Your methods were unorthodox, Captain, but I must acknowledge their effectiveness. A murmur ran through the Council chamber. Official Mark, the stern representative of the rulemaking committee, stepped into the center of the floor. His species resembled tall, thin humanoids with paper-white skin and precisely geometric facial features. Effectiveness is not the sole measure of success, Mark stated coldly. The Council's logistics system has maintained perfect order for 8,000 years, It cannot be compromised by improvisation. Jack met Mark's gaze. With respect, official, sometimes improvisation is exactly what's needed. Your redundant systems, Mark continued as if Jack hadn't spoken. Your excessive fuel reserves, your modifications, all wasteful, all unnecessary. Are they? Lisa asked, stepping forward. May I show the council something? After a moment's hesitation, Grand Coordinator Vale nodded. Lisa brought up new data on their hologram. 3 standard days ago, while we were completing our journey, a Class 5 solar storm erupted from the Rigel system. According to council logs, all regular shipping in that sector was halted. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Solar storms were rare but devastating events that disrupted normal space travel. Your point, Navigator? Admiral Trell asked tersely. Our point, Jack said, is that our wasteful, redundant systems would have allowed us to continue operating even during such an event, while your perfectly efficient ships were stranded, waiting for ideal conditions to return. The council chamber fell silent. Tom took the opportunity to continue. Additionally, the extra materials we collected from the asteroid field, which your protocols classify as unnecessary cargo acquisition, could have been distributed to stranded ships as emergency supplies. Official Mark's geometric features hardened. Theoretical scenarios do not justify protocol violations. As if responding to his words, the chamber's emergency lights suddenly flashed red. A communications officer rushed to Grand Coordinator Vale. Whispering urgently, Vale's crystalline body darkened to a deep blue. We have a situation. A solar storm has just hit the Proxima sector. All standard shipping lanes are disrupted. How long until operations can resume? Admiral Trell asked. Estimated disruption, 7 standard days, the communications officer replied. 12 colonies will experience supply shortages. Captain Jack exchanged looks with his crew. This was no longer a theoretical discussion. Grand Coordinator, Jack, said the Persistence can make emergency runs to those colonies. Our redundant systems can handle the radiation levels. Impossible, Official Mark declared. No ship can safely navigate a solar storm of that magnitude. Human ships can, Jack replied simply, because we don't build our vessels to operate, only in perfect conditions. We build them to survive when everything goes wrong. A ripple of murmuring spread through the council. The protocols, Mark began, will result in 12 colonies facing shortages, Jack interrupted. Is that an acceptable outcome of your perfect system? Grand Coordinator Vale's colors shifted, rapidly, the equivalent of intense calculation. Captain Miller, if you believe your vessel can safely make these runs, you have the Council's permission. This is highly irregular, Mark protested. As is a solar storm, Vale replied firmly. Sometimes irregular problems require irregular solutions. Over the next 5 days, the Persistence made multiple runs to the affected colonies, braving radiation, levels that would have fried the systems of standard Council vessels. The human ship's excessive shielding and wasteful backup systems proved their worth as they delivered critical supplies to stranded outposts. When they returned to Harmony Station, a small crowd of alien officials waited in the docking bay. Among them stood Admiral Trell and, surprisingly, Official Mark. Your methods remain inefficient by Council standards, Mark said stiffly as Jack and his crew disembarked. However, the results cannot be disputed. Admiral Trell stepped forward. The Council has convened an emergency session to re-evaluate certain logistical protocols. Jack raised an eyebrow. Really? I thought those protocols were perfect. Perfection, Trell replied slowly, may have different definitions than we previously understood. Your redundancies demonstrated value we had not calculated. As they walked toward the Council chamber, Bill whispered to Jack, Are they actually admitting we might be right? Jack smiled. I think they're starting to understand that sometimes the most efficient system isn't the one that works perfectly, under ideal conditions, but the one that keeps working when conditions are at their worst, Tom finished. In the Council chamber, Grand Coordinator Vale was addressing the delegates. For 8,000 years, we have pursued perfect efficiency in our logistics network. Today, we must consider whether perfection has made us vulnerable. The human approach, building in redundancy, carrying excess, preparing for failure, appears wasteful by our standards. Vale's crystalline form glowed brighter. But when the unexpected occurs, their waste becomes survival. Perhaps true logistical mastery lies not in eliminating all margin for error, but in strategically expanding it. Official Mark looked pained, but even he had to acknowledge the truth before them. The perfect system had failed. The imperfect human approach had succeeded. And across the galaxy, dozens of alien logistics officers began recalculating their supply chains, adding a new variable they had never considered important before: the capacity to survive when everything went wrong. Jack smiled as he watched the council debate. Humans had never understood logistical restraint because they had always lived in a world where restraint meant death. In space, that lesson was even more critical. And now, finally, the galaxy was learning it too. 2 months had passed since the Persistence proved the value of human logistics methods. The Galactic Council had reluctantly approved a new category of shipping protocols called Human Contingency Standards, which allowed for limited redundancy in critical supply routes. Captain, Jack and his crew had become minor celebrities among the younger species of the Council. 3 more human ships had joined the Persistence in the Galactic Trading Network, each demonstrating the same resourceful approach to seemingly impossible challenges. But not everyone was pleased with the changes humans had brought. "They are disrupting 8,000 years of perfect balance here," growled Commander Red, leader of the Drell Consortium, a faction of older council species who controlled the most profitable trading routes. The Drell resembled large canines walking upright, with dark red fur and sharp teeth that flashed when they spoke. "The inefficiency spreads like a disease," agreed his lieutenant. "Younger species are beginning to question our methods, requesting contingency supplies and emergency reserves. It cuts into profits." Commander Red's eyes narrowed as he watched a holographic display of the Persistence completing another record-breaking delivery. "These humans must be taught their place in the Galactic Order," he said softly. "Arrange an incident on their next run." The Persistence was docked at Harmony Station, taking on supplies for its next mission, when Admiral Trell approached Jack with an unusual request. "The Lethian colony has requested emergency medical supplies," Trell explained, all 4 eyes focused on Jack. Their usual shipment was delayed. Jack noted the hesitation in Trell's voice. "Delayed how?" "The transport vessel reported navigation system failures near the Drell sector," Trell replied carefully. "Most unusual. The Drell have offered to deliver the supplies themselves, but the Lethians specifically requested us," Jack finished. Trell's upper eyes blinked in confirmation. "The Council has approved your mission," though Commander Red protested most vigorously. Jack had heard of the Drell Consortium. Conservative, powerful, and very protective of their trade monopolies. "We'll deliver those supplies," Jack promised. "The Persistence can be ready in 6 hours." Trell hesitated again. "Captain, I should warn you. The Drell do not adapt well to changes in the established order." Jack smiled. "Don't worry, Admiral. Humans are very good at handling those who don't like change." As Jack turned to leave, Trell added, "One more thing, Captain. Commander Alex from your Earth Defense Force has arrived at the station. She requested to join your crew for this mission. The Council has approved the addition." Jack raised an eyebrow. Earth wouldn't send a defense commander without good reason. Commander Alex turned out to be a tall, serious woman with short gray hair and the bearing of someone who had seen many battles. "Captain Miller," she greeted Jack in his office aboard the Persistence. "I've been following your exploits with interest." "Glad to have a fan," Jack replied. "But I'm guessing Earth didn't send you here to collect autographs." Alex's expression remained stern. "No, we've received intelligence that certain Council factions are concerned about human influence on galactic trade policies." "The Drell," Jack stated. Alex nodded. "They've dominated interstellar shipping for 2,000 years. Your methods threaten their profit margins and their control." And you think they might do more than complain to the council? I think, Alex said carefully, that I should inspect your ship's defensive capabilities before we depart. 6 hours later, the Persistence left Harmony Station with its cargo of medical supplies. Commander Alex had made several modifications to the ship's systems, most notably to its shields and sensor array. The Drell will likely wait until we're in deep space away from council monitoring, Alex explained to the crew as they gathered in the mess hall. They'll make it look like an accident, an unfortunate navigation error or system failure. They'd risk interspecies conflict just to protect their shipping monopoly, Lisa asked. They don't see it as a risk, Alex replied. The Drell have sabotaged competitors for centuries, always making it appear accidental. The council suspects, but has never proven anything. Jack turned to Tom. What's our status? All systems operating at 120% efficiency, Tom reported with a grin. I've implemented Commander Alex's upgrades and added a few tricks of my own. Good, Jack nodded, because I think we're being followed. The crew tensed. Bill moved to a sensor console and frowned at the readings. Nothing on sensors, Captain. Check. The radiation spectrum Alex added to our scanning array, Jack suggested. Bill adjusted the settings, and suddenly 3 red dots appeared on the display, trailing the Persistence at a distance. Drell ships, Alex confirmed. Using stealth field generators. They're matching our course and speed, staying just out of normal detection range. What's the plan, Captain? Lisa asked. Jack studied the display for a moment. We could outrun them, but that wouldn't solve the long-term problem. He turned to Alex. I think it's time we taught the Drell a lesson about human logistics. What kind of lesson? Alex asked. Jack smiled. The kind that shows them why picking a fight with humans is bad for business. The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity as the crew prepared their response to the Drell threat. Tom and Alex worked on weapon systems, while Jack and Lisa plotted a new course that would take them through a dense dust cloud, the perfect place for an ambush. They'll think we're trying to lose them in the dust, Jack explained, but really we're choosing the battlefield. As the Persistence entered the dust cloud, visibility dropped to near zero. Normal sensors became useless, but the specialized array Alex had installed continued to track the Drell ships. They're spreading out, Bill reported. Classic encirclement pattern, Jack nodded. Right on schedule. Tom, are the packages ready? All set, Captain, Tom confirmed. Remote detonation systems are online. The dust cloud had hidden more than just the Persistence from view. During their approach, Tom had launched a dozen small pods, each containing a powerful electromagnetic pulse generator disguised as debris. The Drell are in position, Bill announced. They're powering up weapons. Jack leaned forward in his chair. Deploy countermeasures. Tom activated the remote detonators. Throughout the dust cloud, the EMP pods activated, sending waves of disruptive energy washing over the Drell ships. Their stealth fields flickered and died, leaving them visible not just to the Persistence but to any council monitoring stations within range. Direct hit on all 3 vessels, Alex reported with satisfaction. Their systems are temporarily disabled. Open a channel, Jack ordered. A moment later, the angry face of Commander Red appeared on the main screen. What is the meaning of this attack? He snarled, fur bristling. Attack? Jack replied innocently. We were simply deploying a new navigation aid system designed for dust clouds. How unfortunate that it interfered with your ships that were, coincidentally, following the same route. Red's expression darkened. This is an act of war. No, Jack said firmly. An act of war would be 3 Drell warships attempting to ambush a medical transport, which is exactly what council monitors are seeing right now. He paused to let that sink in. I wonder how the council would react to that. Commander Red's fur flattened as he realized his position. The human had outmaneuvered him completely. What do you want? He growled. Simple, Jack replied. The Drell Consortium will stop interfering with human shipping operations. In return, we won't share the evidence of today's navigation error with the council. After a tense silence, Red nodded stiffly. Agreed. But this isn't over, human. No, Jack agreed. It's just beginning. When the Persistence delivered the medical supplies to the Lethian colony, ahead of schedule, as usual, news of their encounter with the Drell had somehow spread throughout the Council species. Admiral Trell met them upon their return to Harmony Station. The Drell Consortium has submitted a formal complaint about your use of disruptive navigation technology, Trell informed Jack, upper eyes blinking in what Jack now recognized as amusement. Really? Jack replied. That's interesting, considering they weren't supposed to be anywhere near our route. Indeed. Trell's voice held a note of respect. The Council has declined to investigate the matter further. As they walked through the station, Trell added, "You should know, Captain, that several younger species have requested human advisors for their logistics operations." Jack smiled. The logistics war wasn't over, but the first battle had been decisively won. Sometimes the best way to change a system wasn't through formal debates or policy changes, but through decisive action that showed what was possible. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was showing the universe what was possible. Teeing. Emergency alert blared throughout Harmony Station, its urgent tone echoing down perfectly symmetrical corridors. In the Grand Council chamber, holographic displays showed a disaster unfolding in real time. Gravitational anomaly detected in the Sarian sector, announced a Varian operator. Projected to disrupt all standard shipping lanes for approximately 17 standard days. Grand Coordinator Vale's crystalline body pulsed with alarmed colors. What colonies will be affected? 12 major worlds and 27 outposts, reported Admiral Trell. Most critically, the Proxima mining colony. Their life support reserves will be depleted in 7 days. The Council erupted into controlled chaos, or what passed for chaos among species who prided themselves on perfect order. Captain Jack and Commander Alex, attending the session as observers, exchanged knowing glances. Our logistics models cannot account for this level of disruption, Official Mark stated, his geometric features rigid with stress. Standard protocols are insufficient. What about the human contingency standards? Asked a younger council member. Mark's expression hardened. Even those protocols cannot overcome a gravitational anomaly of this magnitude. The math is quite clear. We cannot reach Proxima in time. What is the population of the colony? Jack asked, stepping forward. Admiral Trell turned all 4 eyes toward him. Approximately 3 million beings. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Jack straightened his shoulders. The Council's perfect logistics system has failed these people. I propose an alternative approach. We are open to suggestions, Captain, Vale said, crystalline form dimming with concern. A rescue mission, Jack replied. Not just by humans, but by every species willing to set aside perfect logistics for something more important, saving lives. Impossible, Official Mark cut in. Even if we diverted every available ship. Not just available ships, Jack interrupted. Every ship, trading vessels, private yachts, military craft, anything that can fly and carry supplies or people. The council members looked shocked. What Jack proposed was chaos, the very antithesis of their carefully ordered system. A complete abandonment of protocols, Mark said in horror. Yes, Jack agreed without hesitation, because some things are more important than protocols. Admiral Trell stepped forward. The captain's suggestion is highly irregular, but I believe it merits consideration. To everyone's surprise, Commander Red of the Drell Consortium rose from his seat. For once, I agree with the human. My ships stand ready to assist. One by one, representatives from other species joined. Them until only the most traditional council members remained opposed. Even Official Mark finally gave a stiff nod of acceptance. Very well, Grand Coordinator Vale declared. Captain Miller, you will coordinate this rescue operation. The next hours were a blur of activity unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Jack and his crew set up a command center on Harmony Station, where they began organizing the most chaotic logistics operation in Council history. We need every ship sorted by capacity and range, Jack ordered. Lisa, you'll handle navigation planning. Tom, work with the engineers from each species to maximize their ship's capabilities. Commander Alex took charge of communications. We'll need a simple, flexible system that works across all species and technology levels. Bill organized the supplies. Forget perfect calculations. We're going with the human method. Pack everything you can fit and then find room for more. As word spread across the galaxy, ships began arriving at Harmony Station. Hundreds, then thousands of vessels of all shapes and sizes. Many had modified their systems using the human techniques that had once been dismissed as wasteful. The Varians contributed their precision navigation. The Drell offered their powerful cargo vessels. Even the crystalline beings of Vale's species, who rarely left their homeworld, provided transport ships with special radiation shielding. Jack stood on the observation deck, watching the massive fleet assembling. Admiral Trell joined him, all four eyes wide with amazement. Never in 8,000 years has the Council mounted such an operation, Trell said quietly. It defies all established principles of efficient resource allocation. Jack smiled. That's because it's not about efficiency, Admiral. It's about doing what's necessary, whatever the cost. Trell's upper eyes blinked in understanding. I believe I'm beginning to comprehend why humans never understood logistical restraint. It was never a failure of comprehension. It was a different priority. Exactly, Jack nodded. For humans, the goal of logistics isn't perfect efficiency. It's resilience, the ability to succeed even when everything goes wrong. The rescue fleet launched the next day, over 10,000 ships flying in formations that would have given official Mark a heart attack. They didn't move with the perfect precision of Council operations. Some ships flew too close together. Others took different routes entirely, and somehow it worked. When the first ships reached Proxima, they found a colony on the brink of disaster. Life support systems were failing. Food supplies were almost exhausted. Hope was dwindling. And then the sky filled with ships of every description bringing supplies, equipment, and if necessary, evacuation capacity. They said no one would come, whispered the colony leader, a slender being with iridescent skin. The Council's calculations showed it was impossible. Humans don't put much faith in calculations that say something is impossible, Jack replied, handing over the first shipment of life support equipment. We prefer to prove them wrong. Across the colony, similar scenes played out as ships landed, with critical supplies. Species that had been rivals for centuries worked side by side, learning from each other and, most importantly, learning from humans. By the fifth day, the colony was secure. What the Council had declared impossible had been accomplished through cooperation, flexibility, and a healthy disregard for perfect efficiency. As Jack walked through the colony, now bustling with activity, Admiral Trell approached him with a formal datapad. The Council has voted unanimously, Trell announced. A new logistics protocol is being established, incorporating the human approach to contingency planning. It will be called the Resilience Doctrine. Jack raised an eyebrow. Even official Mark agreed. Indeed. Trell's upper eyes blinked with amusement. I believe his exact words were, the statistical improbability of their success indicates a flaw in our fundamental models. Jack laughed. That might be the highest praise humans have ever received. As the rescue operation continued, the galaxy was learning a vital lesson from humanity. Sometimes the greatest logistics achievement wasn't doing things perfectly. It was doing the impossible when it mattered most. 1 year after, the Proxima Rescue Harmony Station had transformed. The once perfectly ordered corridors now featured a mix of architectural styles from across the galaxy. Where mathematical precision had ruled, now diversity flourished. Captain Jack walked through the main promenade, noticing how much had changed. Shops owned by a dozen different species lined the walkways. Ships of all designs docked at the once standardized berths, and everywhere beings from across the galaxy worked together, learning from each other's approaches to space travel. Quite a change from when we first arrived, Bill commented as they made their way to the Council chamber. Jack nodded. I never expected the Council to embrace change so completely. Not all change, a familiar voice corrected. Admiral Trell, approached, all four eyes blinking in greeting. We still value precision and efficiency. We've simply expanded our definition of what constitutes effective logistics. The Grand Council chamber had been redesigned. The perfect semicircles were now arranged in a more organic pattern, allowing for better interaction between species. Grand Coordinator. Vale's crystalline form glowed brightly from the center podium. Captain Miller. Vale's resonant voice filled the chamber. We welcome you and your crew to this historic session. Jack noticed that the chamber was filled beyond capacity. Representatives from all 17 council species were present, along with observers from a dozen non-council worlds. Today marks the official implementation of the Resilience Doctrine, Vale announced. What began as an emergency response has evolved into a new foundation for galactic cooperation. Official Mark stepped forward. His once rigidly geometric features had softened slightly, though he still maintained a formal bearing. The Logistics Review Committee has completed its analysis of the past year's operations, Mark reported. Ships operating under the new hybrid protocols have demonstrated a 34% improvement in crisis response capability, while maintaining 87% of traditional efficiency metrics. Coming from Mark, this was extraordinary praise. Jack caught Tom's eye and saw his engineer struggling not to smile. Captain Miller, Vale continued, in recognition of humanity's contribution to galactic logistics, the Council has created a new position. We would be honored if you would accept the role of Director of the Galactic Logistics Academy. Jack blinked in surprise. A Logistics Academy? Admiral Trell stepped forward. For 8,000 years we taught perfect efficiency. Now we must teach resilience as well. Who better to lead this effort than the species that never understood logistical restraint? Because they understood something more important? Jack looked at his crew, seeing pride in their faces. What had begun as a simple trade mission had evolved into something that would change the galaxy forever. I'm honored, Jack replied. But I'm just one captain. This was achieved by humans and council species working together. Indeed, Vale agreed, which is why the faculty will include members of all council races. Admiral Trell has volunteered to serve as your deputy director. Jack raised an eyebrow at Trell, who blinked all four eyes in sequence. Now Jack recognized it as the Varian equivalent of a shrug. I find I have developed an appreciation for the human approach to problem solving, Trell admitted. It is refreshingly unpredictable. The ceremony continued as various council members presented reports on the integration of human logistics methods. The Drell Consortium had adopted redundant systems for their main cargo fleet. The mathematically precise Varians had implemented flexible scheduling. Even official Mark's species had begun building ships with emergency reserves. After the formal proceedings, Jack found himself on an observation deck overlooking the docking bays. A massive new vessel was under construction, unlike any ship Jack had seen before. The first of our new hybrid designs, Admiral Trell explained, joining him at the viewport. It incorporates the best elements of all council species, with a healthy dose of human redundancy. The ship featured the sleek efficiency of Varian engineering, the cargo capacity of Drell vessels, and the distinctive backup systems that marked human design philosophy. It's beautiful, Jack said. It is imperfect, Trell noted, and that is what makes it adaptable. Commander Alex joined them, now wearing the formal uniform of an Earth diplomat. The Council has approved 3 more joint design projects, teams from 7 species working together on each. And the Resilience Doctrine? Jack asked. Being implemented across all major shipping lanes, Alex replied. Even the most traditional species have accepted that some redundancy is necessary. Jack watched as a small fleet of ships departed Harmony Station, vessels of different species, flying together in a formation that was neither perfectly precise nor chaotically disorganized, but something new altogether. You know what the most important lesson was? Jack asked. It wasn't that the Council was wrong about logistics or that humans were right. It was that we each had part of the solution. Trell's upper eyes blinked thoughtfully. Indeed, the Council had perfected the art of operating under ideal conditions, and humans had mastered the art of surviving when conditions went wrong, Alex added. Together, Jack concluded, we've created something better than either approach alone. As they watched the ships disappear into the stars, Jack reflected on how far they had come. What had begun as a clash of philosophies had evolved into a partnership that made the galaxy safer for everyone. In the academy that would soon open, young beings from across the galaxy would learn both the precision of council logistics and the resilience of human approaches. They would build ships that were efficient yet adaptable, create supply chains that were optimized yet flexible, and forge a future where no colony would ever be abandoned because a rescue was logistically impossible. 6 months later, Jack stood before the first class of the Galactic Logistics Academy. Students from 23 species looked back at him, eager to learn. Logistics, Jack began, is not just about moving things from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. That's important, but incomplete. He activated a holographic display showing the massive rescue fleet that had saved Proxima Colony. Real logistics is about ensuring that what needs to be done can be done, even when everything goes wrong. It's about building systems that bend instead of break. It's about understanding that sometimes the most important factor isn't efficiency, it's resilience. A young Varian student raised a hand. But isn't that inefficient, Professor? Carrying extra supplies, maintaining redundant systems? Jack smiled. Let me ask you this. What costs more, having extra supplies you don't need or losing an entire colony because you didn't have them when you did need them? The student's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as the concept sank in. From the back of the room, Admiral Trell watched with satisfaction. The galaxy was changing, growing stronger through diversity of thought. The perfect logistics system wasn't so perfect after all, but by embracing the human perspective, it was becoming something better. And across the stars, ships flew with new confidence, carrying not just the minimum necessary supplies but extra, just in case. Because if humans had taught the galaxy one thing, it was that sometimes logistical restraint was the most dangerous constraint of all.